Good morning. It is a frosty February 5th, and we are documenting progress in the homestead. How are you feeling this morning?
It feels good. The sun's coming up. We've got a nice layer of frost, and, well, this might actually be ice. It's hard to say.
I think it's ice. Yeah.
So it is a frosty morning, and it is lovely and beautiful. We are promising it might even get up to 10 degrees today.
10 degrees.
Lovely. But it is a perfect day to be out here. It is the 6th of February.
Oh.
6th of February.
I was wrong.
And early. So, yeah, we are starting off the day. So we wanted to show you an update of kind of what's happened in the last month. Most of the work has been related to the garden and growing. And so what you see here is the garden itself. All prepped and ready. It's hard to believe that we are already this month going to be able to start putting in carrots and peas. So all of that is beginning in the next couple days or in the next couple weeks. What you see here as well is I've started digging an asparagus bed. I found somebody that produces asparagus crowns here in Galicia, and so I've ordered them, and we are about to get those and put those in the ground. But then the biggest excitement, and what I am most excited about, is right here. That's right, we have started building a greenhouse. So everything is ready with the exception of the plastic, but in order to put the plastic on, you need to be able to dig these trenches. And digging trenches, I'll admit, this is not the body
You're not cut out for
of
that.
a trench digger.
You're not cut out for that.
I am not cut out for that. So anyway, it is poco a poco. We are getting it ready, but the idea is that beginning in March, that'll all be ready to put in, grow all of our tomatoes and peppers will be grown in there. So that's the concept. So everything should be ready to go in just a couple weeks.
All right, what section are we moving on to next?
I think next we're going to talk a little bit about some of the trees that we've planted and what's going on in the orchard slash food forest realm of this homestead.
All right, we're off to the trees. All right, here we are next to a tree. That's not a tree. That's a tree. Is that a stick? That's a tree.
It will be a tree, we hope. That's the plan. So since we moved here, we have planted, we counted yesterday, we have planted, I think, 37 new fruit trees. Fruit and nut trees. So we planted 10 pecans and a variety of cherries and cherries and plums and peaches. So we are on our way to creating a food forest.
And we already had 50 fruit trees in existence here when we moved here.
Yeah, exactly. So
we'll
lots
talk
of apple. About it later about what we've planted so far, what we found so far here, and that entire process. But we have started trying to create the permaculture, which is the principles we're trying to live by when we create this homestead. And what we've done here is to create our first what's it called?
Food forest.
Nope.
Oh, guild.
Tree guild.
Tree guild.
Yes, so we have here this is a peach tree, and around it will be, we have a blueberry there, and what we would call a gooseberry, or uva espina here. So that's what we have planted. So we're going to start building with the different layers. And then around the property, there are 10 pecan trees. We found pecans. I don't know who is more excited, me or you.
Well, I have to say, they're tiny little sticks, and we think they're pecan trees. I think what's going to happen is the guy played a big joke on us, and we're going to see them grow up, and they're going to be something completely different. But I have high hopes that he was serious, and they really are pecans.
Because, but the only downside is that it takes so long for pecans to produce fruit that I don't know if we're ever going to actually get the pecans.
But we have pecan trees.
But we have pecan trees, and that's nice. So we've kind of incorporated them more on the outside and towards the north to make sure that they're not casting shadows back on all the rest of them. But they will create a lovely canopy. There's a few dotted in this area. But basically, if you're familiar with permaculture, everything from this area behind me back this way
toward the house.
That whole area is what you would call like zones 1 through 3, I guess. So you've got our food forest, we've got a variety, there's an orchard in the back, and then obviously our garden, chickens are going over there. So that's kind of what's happening in this space. So we've been planting. It feels good. Are you liking the planting process?
It's actually a lot easier than I thought it was going to be in terms of, being in Andalusia and used to like the ground is like concrete. And here you can stick a shovel in the ground and it actually goes in. It
actually goes in and it makes it there's a little bit, this is a little rocky in this area, but it should be really good. We're actually standing next to Shit Mountain. I can't stand next to Shit Mountain and not mention it.
Well, I mean, I already got it in the camera. I realized after I went over that, that's
a giant pile of cow manure.
Yep, that's slowly being chipped away.
Yep, and so it has gotten really hot and done a good job of composting, and we're starting to mix it in with the soil in order to add nutrients for all of this crazy planting.
Now let's talk about these piles over here and how you've creatively gotten rid of some of the other piles that we had.
Yeah, so with we have so many trees, like we talked about. We have over 50 fruit trees alone, and so we have a lot of vines as well. So we've had to clear a bunch of things. So what you see is a ton of different piles, with the idea being that some of these are large enough to cut up with a chainsaw in order to make into firewood for our bread oven, which we're going to be firing up here in the next month. The rest of them we will shred. I've got a chipper, so we'll chip those down and use them for the garden paths throughout the garden and throughout the homestead. But we also had, a couple weeks ago, we had somebody come through and actually chip up all of our existing branches.
Well, you act like we hired this person to come through. We did not. This was like, this was a little bit of Warren Talbot charm.
Well, they came through because we have some power lines that run through this property, and they come through every year, I guess, and cut down anything that is growing too close to the lines. So they cut those down on the edge, just on the edge of the property, and I asked them to load all of the branches onto the property, and a guy came with a big old tractor and a huge desbrozadora, which is basically just as a thing that cuts up trees, and he came through and knocked them all down, and I asked him to go through some of our piles, and he destroyed those as well.
For nothing. And in about 5 minutes.
And in about 5 minutes. It would have taken me hours and hours and hours. These are projects. So it looks a little crazy. I would like to say that the homestead is going to look so much nicer in just a few months. I have a funny feeling the homestead's always going to have piles of random stuff everywhere.
I think it's actually going to get a little worse before it gets better. I think that's just
a little worse. I'm not sure about the next part.
It's gonna get better.
There's always something going on, always projects happening. So anyway, next you want to go and talk a little bit about the, what do you want to talk about next?
Well, I was thinking we'd go to the actual orchard, not the new orchard, the old orchard, the ancient orchard.
The ancient orchard.
All right, ancient orchard next. Okay, I hope you can hear me around the deafening sound of the birds. We've just started noticing them again in the last couple of weeks, and so I'm pretty excited for what summer's going to sound like. So we are in the orchard, which is across the little road from our house. So I don't know if you can see the house over there. And here we are in the orchard. So tell us what's going on in the orchard, the ancient orchard.
The ancient orchard. So this was here when we moved in. So all we've done is we've planted a few new trees in this space. But obviously, there's quite a few trees here already. Over the last several months, I've spent hours and hours starting to prune them. A lot of them had not been pruned for many years. So I kind of started cutting back, but made sure not to cut back too much in any one year. So I have pruned everything, and there's still piles of branches everywhere, so still part of that same plan. So what I've done is here, we went through and counted all of the trees on the property, all the fruit trees on the property. And what we had is we ended up with 29 apple trees, 17 peach trees. All told, it was 87 different fruit trees. So I think there were like 10 or 12 different types of fruits. Mm-hmm. So we have a large number of fruits, and that's not including your chestnuts, because we have a lot of chestnut trees. But I think what we're going to do is that was just to kind of get an idea of what we have, but then we don't know which of them are producing, which of them have fruit that is actually good to eat. You know, it's possible that many of them are quite old, and so we're going to need to come up with what that looks like over the season. So every month, as it starts to mature, we'll go through and revise that list so we have a good sense of what we have. And if there's some older apple trees in the other part of the land, as well as here, that probably need to come down. They're hollowed out, they're a little rotten, so we're going to get that done as well. So we've got a process that's going to go through, and we'll see how it goes. Are you excited?
I am excited. I want to zoom in on this first, because when we first got here, I wasn't quite sure what to think of all this stuff on the trees, and I was like, that's kind of weird to have all that stuff on the trees. Does that mean a bad thing? Does that mean a good thing? But it turns out when you live in a wet, healthy climate with good air, You get lichen on the trees.
Yeah.
I'm liking the lichen.
Liking the lichen. There's nothing bad about it. Some of the older trees do have more of it, so that is something to consider. But it's not not bad at all. So it actually makes a really beautiful, makes the orchard look nice and old.
Actually, it looks a little spooky if you ask me.
It does look a little spooky. Yeah, especially in the fog. So I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
So this is the orchard. So we thought we would take you now and show you a little bit about some of our plans for what we're going to do near the house.
Okay, here we are at the side of the house. Because of the way the house is situated, the road is actually over there, and so anyway, this is the side yard, and we're going to tell you a little bit about some of the work that Warren has done, as well as our plans going forward. So, follow me. If you hear a little hostage dog barking, he is not really a hostage. He is just refusing to do his nap time. So, here is the side yard, and this is normally filled with beautiful hydrangea, just massive, which Warren cut back so that they will grow again this year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing those, because you can look out the bedroom window and it's just a beautiful thing to see first thing in the morning. But that is the main work that's been done here. Warren even uncovered this.
I think it's a yucca plant?
Is it a yucca plant? Yeah,
I think so.
We didn't even know this was back here.
There's so much that's hidden. It's just nuts.
So anyway, there's a nice stone wall back there, which you can't see either because it's covered by all the plants. But this is where we normally send the dogs out to play. And when we're here with them, it works out really great. But obviously we want to be able to put them out here for some time on their own so that we can go off and do the 27,000 other things that need to be done in a homestead. So we have plans to fence part of this in so that they have a little play area. So you can talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's basically what we're going to do is we're going to keep this, use this rock wall here, and then around, you see that the whole thing is actually hemmed in by a very large hedge, which would be great if there weren't little gaps, as you can see, little gaps of ice and frost behind there. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a fence behind this, and then over there you see the very edge in the backyard, you see the very edge of what is our boiler room. We're going to put another fence and a gate back there. And that'll basically give them all this space to be able to run and play without having... Yeah, they'll have a little pond. I don't know what they're going to do in that pond, but probably fall in.
Because they're disgusting.
They are disgusting. So, but this will give them a nice space to be able to run and be away from any concern. So if any other dogs or anything else wants to get them, we'll be comfortable with that. So,
and they'll be so excited because they will have birds up here
yes.
all the time to chase and listen to and be obsessed by. So we're kind of excited to put that together. And then maybe on this little corner over here by where the red part is, which is the side of the boiler room, we'll make a little nice seating area over there. I think it would be nice to come out in the evenings.
In the summers, yeah.
In the summer and watch them play, have a glass of wine, and, you know.
Relax. So what you see here is an old bed. This was covered in climbing roses that had gotten way out of control. And what we've done is there's some kiwis in here that we uncovered, and we're going to let those grow and see if those will actually bear fruit, and if not, we may have to get some partners because we don't know if they're male or female, so we'll find out over spring. We're also going to plant some gooseberries to climb up these trellises, so this will become a little more, well, it'll become fruit bearing, which currently it is not. And so that's the idea, is to get a little bit more of that, as well as plant some more flowers to bring in some pollinators into the yard. This is our idea: dogs and pollinators and food. This is the side yard.
This is the side yard. Next up, we're going to talk a little bit about our container gardening that we're going to have up in the front, and we're going to show you up close some of our cool containers that we inherited.
All right, here we are. We're right in front of the house. The house is directly behind you, right in front of me. What we're going to do here is create an herb garden and a little bit of a kitchen garden. So we have this old trough that is covered in moss, which we absolutely love, right next to the well. And so what we're going to do is, this is going to be basically the way to Betsy's heart. So this is going to become all cilantro. And it looks like a big bed to dedicate to cilantro until you understand how much we love cilantro.
Yeah, we need more bed space.
We need more cilantro.
More cilantro.
That's basically, that is our more cowbell experience. So we can come out, we can plant it, we'll do it in succession so it's constantly going through the summer and then hopefully well into next fall and winter. And then behind us, we've got some other old beds that we're going to put some basil in, because this should be lovely and warm against the house. So we'll be able to actually grow things like basil and dill. and so a little bit of cebollinos, which are chives. So we're going to have a variety of different herbs right outside the door. We can walk outside, cut those, and cook with them fresh. So that's going to be very exciting. Back there, it's a little hard to see, and I know we talked about it a little bit in the last video, but it's a two-tier pond. That two-tier pond is going to be filled with, we're going to fill the top one this year with soil, and we're going to use that to plant a few things like lettuce and kale that'll be available right outside the door, so we can quickly grab them, and that'll make it really easy. And I think that, is there anything else you want to grow in there?
Well, I mean,
it's really ugly, so I don't know why
I know. Well,
close.
I'm getting up close so you can show the depth of it and the size of it.
Ugly.
It is ugly, but it's going to have good food in it, and maybe more cilantro. I don't know. Maybe we just dedicate the whole thing to cilantro.
We're underneath this persimmon tree, and so it's not going to provide too much shade because of the arc of the sun, but it will give us a lovely amount of shade under here to where nothing gets too hot. So that's basically the extent of it. And we have tons of camellias around here. Lots of work going on in this space, but we're hoping that we can have our kitchen garden and herb garden up by April.
See some of our flowers already blooming here on these camellias. A nice little pop of color in the winter.
Yes, it's a lovely way to start February. So this is the homestead update. This is what we've been working on the last month. The next month is all about really the garden and getting ready. So I'm not doing a lot of pruning anymore because there's just so much that needs to be done to prepare.
What happens next is the gallinero.
Yes, I forgot.
Yeah,
chickens.
We have chickens to prepare for.
We've got to build the gallinero. Do you want to show that?
Yes.
Okay. Are you excited to get chickens?
Bark, bark.
What are you most looking forward to? Why do you want chickens?
I love eggs.
Yes.
I do. I could eat eggs every day of my life. I do eat eggs every day of my life.
Yeah, if we get chickens, we will be eating eggs.
Exactly.
Luckily, we're only getting 3 or 4. We're not going crazy. We're just starting off with just egg chickens, some hens, and that's it. Nothing exciting. So this is where we're going to put them after much deliberation and overthinking and still considering options. But at this point, this is where they're going to go. Currently, that is a compost pile. I'm going to move the compost pile over here. So it's next to the invernadero, so the greenhouse.
Yep.
So they can go in and work the greenhouse in the off season when we're not growing anything in there. But the idea is that we'll fence this area in, and then eventually they'll just go in this area. But we also want them to go into the, this is all a protected, this is part of our yard that we've walked through before. And we want them to go in there as well. So by fencing in these areas and kind of directing them, hopefully we can give them a better home, let them free range as much as possible, protect them from a lot, and I mean a lot of predator birds, and make them happy so that they produce really good eggs for us. So that's the idea. So we're going to move the compost so that they're still going to be able to work the compost. So it's going to be inside of their run. But we're going to build it here, and it's going to go up about half a meter on these blocks, and then we will build a pallet construction. So it'll be pallets, and then it'll be a little house with a roof. It'll be a chicken coop. But we're not going to do a mobile chicken coop. I don't have the energy to move that on a regular basis. There's too much else to do, and I'd rather
Poco a
just have it
poco.
fixed.
We need to just get started on some of these things. That's been the biggest lesson, I think, so far, is that you can overthink everything, but the best thing is to just get started.
So we're just going to get started. We're going to go with this. We've got most of the supplies already, either really cheap or from neighbors or from friends, and so we're really excited about getting going. So hopefully in March, maybe not at the next video, but the one right after that, we have chickens. So that's the plan. So, but by March, we're going to have a chicken coop out here and the compost ready to go for them.
Bark,
So,
bark.
bark, bark. So until next time,
Bark, bark.
hasta luego.